right, so I try not to get too political on here, but I decided I was going to chime in on the recent controversy going on at Starbucks. Because I go to Starbucks a lot. Basically, almost every place that I work, there's a Starbucks near me. Why? Because I live in a city, and basically, if you walked a block, there's a Starbucks on it. I work in one area in downtown Copley quite frequently, and there's a Starbucks um, right near, I believe it is Clarendon Street and Stewart Street, or in that area. It's right near the John Hancock Tower, and there's a Starbucks right at this corner, right near the Fairmont and the Westin Copley. And if you look across the street, there's another Starbucks. If you look straight up, there's a Starbucks. It's actually on the second floor because that's where the hotel little mini mall is, right outside the hotel, and below it is a fish restaurant, or was. And so there's so many Starbucks in Boston. Now, the only thing I can say is if you don't like Starbucks, you got a choice between that and Dunkin' Donuts, because holy smokes, here we are in Boston. There's like a billion Dunkin' Donuts, a billion Starbucks, and now we even have like these Nero cafes popping up, which are a little bit more artisanal and probably have like a more they're more like Starbucks, but they serve more lunch stuff like sandwiches. It's kind of like a weird combination between Starbucks and Panera Bread. All right, I'm getting off topic. Back to the Starbucks controversy. So for those of you that are under a rock and haven't heard, two guys, two black men go into Starbucks. They asked to use the bathroom, and then they didn't buy anything. They sat down. They were supposedly having a business meeting, a real estate deal, and then they got kicked out. They refused to leave. Police came. The police removed them in handcuffs. They were arrested. So there's a lot of cries of racism, that the managers didn't want these people in there because they were black, and that now Starbucks has to undergo racial sensitivity training for a day. By the way, if you like Starbucks, do not freak out. They have decided to close in the afternoon. They actually specifically said it'll be the afternoon of, I think it was May 29th, that they are closing down. So basically, Starbucks does all its business from like 7 o'clock in the morning until like 11 o'clock, when people are getting coffee in the morning. They probably do some lunch stuff because they serve lunches, but the chances that they are going to lose a significant chunk of business by closing down in the afternoon is low, because most people don't drink coffee as much in the afternoon. The lines for coffee is always in the morning. By the afternoon, it's a lot slower. You can get a cup of coffee pretty quick there. So they chose to do it that way. Trust me, they do not want to inconvenience their regular customers. So now they're doing this. So what's my take on all of this? Well, first of all, I don't really think that you have a right to go into a restaurant and sit there and not patronize a place. And if they ask you to leave, I do think you are obliged to do so. Just like if you were in my house and I ask you to leave, yeah, I gotta leave. Come on. So there's that aspect on that side of them being correct and right. Now, so the manager does have a right to tell somebody to leave. I can tell you, I have been in restaurants before, especially right around where I live in Somerville, we're known as a breakfast area, especially Ball Square, which is a place just down the street from me. Going to any of those restaurants on a Saturday or Sunday morning, especially like around 11 o'clock, everyone's there getting breakfast, everyone's getting brunch. People get out of church on Sunday, they go out for brunch. And the number of times that I've been in these places, I've sat down, I've had my breakfast, and I swear, the last bite of food enters my mouth, the check is there. As soon as that check is signed, they ask you, they say, hey, we got other customers coming in. Could you please leave now, because we need to get other customers seated. They're very polite about it, and I've always tried to respect the person who's running a business. So from the people that came in there, I just wanted to say this. Like, small business owners really struggle a lot. And you may think that like Starbucks is this big corporation, but often it's small chains, sometimes franchises, where people are really like, they really got to keep their margins going, and there's a lot of pressure on the managers to make sure that profit margins are right. And so having non-customers occupy your space is actually bad for business. So there's part of me that's kind of like, well, I see these things from the manager's side a bit. And at the same time, it's like, bathrooms are not free. Like, toilet paper costs money, soap costs money, paper towels cost money, electricity costs money. If you're not making money letting people use your restroom, then you are, losing money. You can't just open it up to the public and make it a public restroom. You're not getting taxpayer money to run your bathroom. So all of these things to me say like, well, the manager's in the right to do this, to ask a patron to leave, just like anything else. But on the other side of things, I kind of see where these guys are just like, look, come on, like, we're just sitting here in Starbucks. Are we really causing that much of a problem? And I think a little bit more patience on the manager side probably would have been good. Um, and it seems a little strange to me that they had to call the police. Um, and I haven't quite heard this yet. Were these people confrontational? Were they threatening? There's no evidence of that so far, but that's the only reason why I could think of why you would call the police on somebody just sitting there, right? I mean, I can understand you not wanting them in your establishment, but calling the police seemed a little excessive. So on that side, I kind of side with the two guys who were just sitting in Starbucks, trying to have a meeting. Now there's the third side of this, which is like, well, these guys claim that they were having some kind of a business deal, something along those lines. And first of all, why would you do a business deal in Starbucks? And if you're trying to do a business deal, first of all, they should have been dressed better. They were really not dressed well, but they seem to say that this was like a changing thing for them. Maybe they were just hard on their luck and this was like their big break. So, but if you don't have money to buy a coffee, it's, business deals are like going on dates. You got to kind of impress the date a little bit. You got to kind of like show a little class and some money and at least split the bill. In this case, there was no bill. They were literally trying to use Starbucks as a free place to have the meeting. And I've done meetings at Starbucks, but I've tried to always patronize the place because they're giving us a space to be. And I understand, like, electricity costs money, everything costs money, heat, everything that you're getting and taking advantage of costs money, and they need to run their business. So there's two sides to the story, I feel, and I don't feel like someone going in and sitting down in Starbucks should get arrested because they want to just sit there. Unless they were confrontational, threatening, or something like that. That's the only reason why I could think of. So this has obviously become a huge public relations nightmare for Starbucks. And yesterday was really funny. I had a choice between going to Starbucks and Dunkin Donuts, only because the place I was working at had both. And I chose to go to Dunkin Donuts because I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to avoid that for one day. I'll probably go back to Starbucks eventually. But Dunkin Donuts. Truthfully, I thought Dunkin Donuts would be faster, and I needed to go quick. And so forth. But when there's two choices, and you're going to paint one as being either racist, which is how a large chunk of people are, and then because they're doing this racial sensitivity training, another people are saying that they're a knee-jerk reaction to what is essentially just two guys that should not have been there to begin with. You're going to lose customers either way. Like, somebody's not going to like what you're doing. The question is, which one are you hedging your bets on? So I don't know. I'll probably go back to Starbucks, but maybe just avoid the controversy of what they're doing right now. So I don't know. You tell me. Do you think that they were in the right because it's a private business? They don't have to serve anyone, and they certainly don't want to serve people who are just basically taking up their heat and electricity and their Wi-Fi and all the other resources that they're giving away. Do you think that they should allow anybody? Should anyone just be allowed to go to a Starbucks and hang out there whenever they want and not buy anything? Just basically use it like a workspace, like one of those WeWork stations. Like, you can just go there and work there. Or were these people just minding their own business, not bothering anyone, and call the cops on them for crying out loud? They're just sitting there. I mean, they're not potentially harming anyone or attacking anyone. Again, if they were not confrontational, I don't see any reason to do that. So let me know what you think. You can say so in the comments or not. But here we go with the Starbucks controversy. Man, it's like you can't even get a cup of coffee anymore without having to make some kind of arbitrary political decision and then be judged good or bad for it. Let's go back to the good old days when, coffee was just what you drank in the morning instead of being some sort of, it's like a rite of passage, like an American pastime almost. It's like, man, it's just more and more complicated. Nothing's simple anymore. And this is one of those topics where I feel like there's two sides to the story. At the same time, some people made some judgments that may not have been great at the time, and some people felt a little bit harassed by that and put off. And now we can't even get a cup of coffee without having any fun. All right, let me know what you like in the comments. Like and subscribe. We'll see you soon. And we'll probably have some new news on the studio super soon.